Joining me now to discuss is the Senior Fellow at Defense Priorities, retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. Thank you so much for being with us today. You know, as we take a look at where we sit at the beginning of this new year, Hamas's leadership has been shattered. Gaza is in ruins, and over 45,000 are dead after nearly 15 months of war. So why is Israel attacking Gaza so fiercely with the chance of peace on the horizon at this point? Do you think that Israel slowing its tempo down of an attack would actually help in getting a ceasefire done? I mean, there's so much to think about as we are looking at the state of affairs right now.
Well, listen, I mean, you can't look at this in anything more than just the actual evidence on the ground. And I can just tell you, as I've been saying this throughout this entire war on this network, there is no military path to success, to victory for the Israeli side that results in improved security. By continuing to destroy everything that's inside the Gaza Strip, all they are doing is building up more angst and more hatred for the Israeli side inside the Gaza Strip and among the other Arabs in the region. So there is no military necessity and utility to keep literally wiping out the infrastructure inside there. And so, no, this is not going to help bring peace to the situation. It doesn't have any evidence that they have now been literally for 15 plus months just methodically conducting these operations that kill so many people, and it's not pushed them into a unilateral ceasefire on the Hamas side. So you're going to have to do something different if you actually want the war to come to a conclusion and get the Israeli hostages back. And that just seems to not be a high priority for the Israeli government, despite what they say.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is really hard to watch. And as we look at these new images, you just can't wrap your mind around it. You're right. You've got the evidence on the ground that you have to look at as you move forward, making a plan. You know, President-elect Trump reinforced his threat recently that there will be, quote, hell to pay if the hostages aren't released after being asked about the war at an event at Mar-a-Lago this week. Let's take a listen.
We're going to see what happens.
Have you spoken about it?
They better let the hostages come back soon.
Okay, so that was New Year's Eve. What steps could Trump take to bring the hostages home? He obviously is adamant about it. Is there anything that he will do that Biden couldn't or wouldn't do?
Listen, if you want the hostages back, then you're going to have to do something that they haven't done. And that means they, meaning the U.S. administration and the Israeli administration, that is try diplomacy. And by diplomacy, I don't mean just issuing a set of instructions to the Hamas side that they do everything the Israeli side or they keep fighting, but that you have to give and take in order to get that. And listen, there is a deal to be made. Hamas has said almost throughout this war that they've been willing to have a ceasefire, that they've been willing to give up some of their hostages, but they have to get something in return. And so far, both the U.S. and the Israel have been willing to give virtually nothing to the Hamas side. So there's no motivation and no value for them to do so. And if we want those hostages back, and I argue that we could get the hostages back, even if we have to, quote, give a whole bunch and like release a whole lot of prisoners, you know, 10 to 1, 20 to 1, whatever it would need to be for the Hamas side, then we get the hostages back. And listen, those folks aren't going anywhere. So making those kind of concessions and negotiations, it costs Israel nothing, but it could gain them everything. And until that's tried, I don't think they're serious about ending the negotiations.
Well, we'll check back in with you, retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. Thank you so much for that and joining us today on NewsNation Live. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
All right.